Good morning, good morning, good morning, Libra. Good morning. This is Kiki's Doorway. As you know, I'm talking to all the Libras out there, all the Libras, the scale keeper of justice, the ones that know if your heart is truly, truly light as a feather. Geminis, we seen and we're doing now, I'm doing now in Kiki's Doorway with you, the air signs. And I was just telling Geminis earlier that Mercury, the messenger, Geminis, are the communicators between heavens and earth, between man and God, between man and goddess, between man and the angels, between man and the elements of the earth. And if Geminis can become that bridge for these things for us, then Libra is definitely the ones to keep the scales, to make sure that what you do is evenly killed. If I'm saying it right, it feels like Libras, we don't really hear much about Libras, and that's really bad. I mean, out of the air signs, we hear more about the Geminis, which is beautiful, and the Aquarius, which is also excellent. However, we don't really get a better understanding of Libras. So, from what I could understand about Libra based on the zodiac, is that you can't come to Libra with your nonsense. You can't come to them with some shit. You got to come to them with real facts. And it can't just be factual. It actually has to come from your emotions. It actually has to accumulate with what you know personally with the facts for them to get a better understanding of who you are as a person. So in reality, with Libras, you really, those are people that can detect if you're fake or not. And if you're fake, oh, you think they will leave you alone? Like Taurus, I'm a Taurus. If you're fake, we'll leave you alone. We don't got time to figure out who you really are if you fake or not. We'll just leave you to your own demise. But Libras were like, oh well, since you came to my seat, since you came to my seventh house, you know, you want to come up in my house and you want to see if you could sleep up in my room. Let's see if you qualify. They'll say that at the door, while cracked open. They don't even have the door open when they say that statement. So you know you got to come correct. So, with that being said, let's do Libra. God, Gaia, God, Goddess, Mother, Father. What should Libras know about their past life for May 2018? What should Libras know about their past lives for May 2018? The scales. The scales must have been important, especially in the ancient civilizations, how we even got civilization from Egypt, Kemet, Kush, Mesopotamia, Phoenician, Sumerian. The list goes on because that is the areas from which the civilization was probably documented, but does not mean that wow, does not mean that that was the only place that civilization was also documented. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get to Libras, because 3 cards already came out. The first card, food and hunger. So we were just talking about the scales, right, Libra? So when I look at this card, in your past life, you had to be in charge of, you were most likely the gatekeeper of documenting food supply for the community. So if you were in Egypt, in the places that I mentioned, You would have wanted to keep track record of agriculture. You made sure that farmers farmed and seeded the right amount of seeds for harvest, not for their family, but for the community's family, and for the king, queen, or pharaoh at that time, which was very hard task. That meant that you had to be also a keen to agriculture. You had to be a keen to having that green thumb, like the Southerners used to say, having a better understanding of when water temperature changes. So you had to also know about astrology, about the stars, and even the moon, because the moon also determines the amount of increase or decrease of water flow that comes within the community. So in your past life, that was probably one of the responsibilities. Let's see what the book says. The Past Life book by Dorian Virtue says. Food and hunger. And if you were part of if you was in charge of food and hunger, you definitely had to make sure people did not get hungry. Because when people get hungry, what happens? You get angry. If you have a mob of people getting angry, they can destroy anything and everything that actually makes their civilization civil. You didn't. So Libra, this is what your past life wants you to know. You didn't have enough to eat in your past lives, causing you to overeat and hoard food in this or incarnation. I wonder, is that for people that are bulimic or anemic? Is that where they get it from? I used to think that they just didn't want to eat, or just when they ate and felt fat, that they just threw it up. What if their past life was, in fact, they were hungry and they were just reenacting that in the present, but didn't understand why? So Libra, if you have that similar situation, that's not for all Libras. This could be the reason why you have those cases like that. You may have weight or eating dessert. You may have weight or eating disorder issues because you associate eating with fear instead of hunger. So like I said before, in your past life, you might have been in charge of food and hunger because your past life, you might have been an orphan. You might have had been a knight or someone that is always on the go and cannot determine if they're going to have that same type of food supply anywhere they travel to. So see it as that. Yes, you could. Yes, you were reincarnated because of lack of food. But what if that lack of food came from a past life before that, where you were in charge of food supply? And in order for you to be in charge of food supply, you had to have experienced hunger before. So, in your present life, in this life, forgive that aspect of yourself. Know that, yes, if you had a disorder when it came to eating, or if you even had an order or had a negative view when it came to how to look at food, try to find ways to see the essence of why the beginning of civilization had a particular diet of food or knew how to moderate food. You notice how this has bread and a drink. Now that could have been bread and wine, that could be bread and water, because at that point, water was not the only liquids. It took somebody like you, Mr. and Miss Libra, to be associated with agriculture to know that, oh, if we're hungry, sometimes you could use rotten food for good protein. For example, two came to mind. The first one is when I was talking about wine. Did you know, and I just found that out, I just found this out from a beautiful tarot reader named Dennis Eggleston. Eggleston, Eggleston, I think. Dennis Eggleston. He's a wonderful guy. I'm going to put his name in the box below after this reading. Check him out. He breaks down for you Libras where you have come from even more, and that will pretty much help you, because grapes were rotten, and in order for you to make wine, in order for Greco-Romans to make wine, in order for Egyptians to make wine, they had to take rotten grapes, meaning after everybody ate grapes from celebrations and the festies and, just having a good abundance in their home, they threw away the rotten grapes. And somebody like yourself that was probably an orphan or hungry ate the grapes, and yeah, they kind of felt a little funny and like, well, what is it about this? I don't feel sick. I didn't throw up, but I felt woozy. I'm going to see if I can make something out of it. And what happened? That same person that was hungry, look at that, the same person that was hungry found a way to make wine, found a way to become prosperous in not only Egyptian time, but in the Greek and Roman time, which Americans get their influence from more Greek and Roman than their Egyptian mother and father. Another one that came to mind when it came to rotten food, like if you're hungry, if you're homeless, sometimes you have to go into the trash, and not all food that's in the trash can is good food, meaning not all food that's in that trash can is going to be fresh. Sometimes you're going to go into the trash can and eat something, and it could possibly be rotten. Back in the day, in the ancient days, before we actually had the Industrial Revolution and boats, we had small boats. We stuck to farming or fishing in our communities. So if you were that person that was hungry and you had to make money, you had to be a sailor, you had to be a fisherman. Or even if you were a part of the Industrial Revolution, you had to be the ones to get certain bass and certain whales for oil, right? For you to get money, for you to eat. Well, guess what? In order for the sailors to keep their teeth, they had to eat rotten food. If I'm wrong, please check that out. Leave that answer in the box below about the rotten grapes turning into wine, and about rotten food on the boat where a captain and his sailors had to eat rotten food to keep their teeth, to keep their hygiene intact. Sometimes rotten is actually healthy. And it took somebody to have that past life and hunger to educate people that probably didn't need that exposure of rotten food to know the benefits of it. So don't be ashamed of it. Find out the positive of rotten foods. Research the positiveness of people that are bulimic. Why did they become bulimic? What makes them? If you had to find other people that have that similar issues and really ask them, like befriend them and ask them what made them become that way, because no one starts off that way. Things had to be triggered in your present life for you to tap into your past life to react in this manner now. So, how should you handle this quest to understand this? It's going to tie into your finances. Once you find out if fishermen did have to eat rotten food to keep their teeth, to keep their hygiene. Just like Asians, when Westerners came to Asia, we learned about the essence of baths. You would think we would learn the spiritual practice of, not just the spiritual practice, but how taking baths also help your mental state and your hygiene. We had to learn that from Asia. That meant that even if you were from Egypt and Greco-Roman or England, we all had to go to Asia to better understand why bathing and why taking care of our physical vessel, our body, our physical body, not just the chest and what you see, but also that inside, like your organs, your teeth, your heart, all these things, your liver, your kidneys, all these things are very important. And once you find out the reason why these things are important, it will help with your abundance. So if you were trying to figure out what is your life purpose and how can you make a difference in the world while also being financially taken care of for your research and for what you find, know that what you do find is going to help so many people. For one, I don't know if I was bulimic, but I did hoard food. I do to this. I'm breaking out of hoarding food because I'm starting to notice that, like you, I had an issue with hunger My past life was, because my opposite sign is Scorpio, and I did a reading not too long ago. So whenever you get a chance, Libra, check out Scorpio. That's my opposite sign. I'm a Taurus, and my opposite sign is Scorpio. And I found out that my past life, I was an orphan. So just like you, I had to eat rotten food most likely. Just like you, even if I was eventually wealthy in the next life, I feared losing money, which equates to losing food. So I would hoard food just to hoard it, which could have been where I became belligerent or became wealthy but mean, meaning I just felt like taking from people rather than give, and that's not good. So in this life, we both have to learn how to balance that out and not be afraid that, and know that you always will have enough. Even when you don't have enough, like I noticed that I can have water, a fruit, and maybe one meat and a whole lot of grains and veggies. I would feel like, oh my God, I don't have sauce, or oh my God, I don't have milk, or oh my God, I don't have this or that. And I realized, like, basically with the ingredients I have now, all I got to do is go to Pinterest or a site that could show you ways to use the food that you have in your house and make a meal out of it. That can also be something that will also make you financially abundant. Teaching people that if you are in poverty, if say for instance you live in a project, say for instance you live in an area that has very low income, you could be teaching people how to look at cooking, look at food in a spiritual way. And we need that out here. It's more people in poverty than it is rich folks. So if you thinking that, oh, is this going to really help me, is finding out if rotten food or if rotten liquids or if why do people hoard food or throw up food or overeat food, is that going to really help people? I'm telling you, brother, I'm recording in the projects. I don't see the projects as a bad thing. I see it as a stepping stone to understand where I want to live in my life. That's what I'm aiming for. I know that I'm destined to not just live in the projects, and it's not to say that projects are a bad place. It's to say that if you don't have a certain income, what's wrong with living in the projects? If you don't have a certain income, what's wrong living in a loft? What's wrong with living in a two-shared home? Maybe your income is not good. And if your income is not good, look around you. Look where you live at. We live in poverty. We all live in poverty. If you couldn't find a solution with that, that would be a blessing in disguise. I mean, when you find out, Libra, hit me up at Kiki's Doorway. I'll take it. I'll take your suggestions. I'll take it. Once you find out the information, hit me up at Kiki's Doorway. All right? All right now. I ain't playing with you. I know you the scales, but I will rip them scales up and restructure them. I'm a Taurus. I am the blacksmith. I will remake your fucking Libra scale for you so you could get it together. Now, your last card, and wow, what a card. Wow, what a card. Your last card is knighthood. Knighthood. You're loyal to the task at hand. You do not play people. You're not fake. And if you must be fake, you play it well. Meaning, if you got to be fake to people, you do it because they are fake. And you need them to learn that fake is really not that great if their heart is not into it. If they don't have no real just cause for it. Meaning, you know how a woman say, do I look fat in this dress? Now, they possibly could look a little chunky in the dress, or not even chunky. What if the female is very thick and voluptuous, but the design and the fabric of the damn clothes really don't show or do her justice in her shape? Rather than say, oh, you not fat, which equates to you're fat. Go back to that hunger, like we were saying, that food and hunger, and say, okay, what she really wants to know is, what can I do if I am chunky in this type of fabric? Okay, well, baby, I love that you thick. I love that you very hippie and you got a little love handles. So if you got little love handles, maybe silk and lace that's not the clothing material for you. maybe cotton or latex or something that can shape your body like an hourglass is what we should be looking for. So we got to both go to a designer with this type of information. That's what I mean. When you research and let that woman know, hey, you ain't fat. You know what it is? It could just be what you're putting on that makes you look that way in the Western world. Because if I took you to the Eastern world, baby, they would have had certain lace or certain material for you that looks very royal. So my nightly Libra, Miss and Mr. Libra, show people your nightly side and what you find out when you get this information. So let's continue to read what we left off with, the food of hunger, because I feel like you should also know something about that food of hunger before we get into knighthood. So the food and hunger, let's continue with that, because I had to go off on you. It's something about that food and hunger, because I see why successful billionaires probably had to go through that similar past life regression to better understand themselves, so they don't hoard when they do get that money, so they don't get stingy when they get that abundance. Okay, what does it say about food and hunger for Libra? Okay, for some people, this pattern also applies to fears about having enough water to drink. See, when you have enough, you think that you won't have it again. That's not true. You will always have enough, because you're smart enough to find ways to have enough. If you could suck, you know how when your mama said, oh, I used to say, oh, I'm hungry, Ma, I'm hungry, even though I know I ate. You know what she used to tell me? You know the slick stuff she used to tell me? I think that was a Libra side of her ass. She told me, go suck your saliva. I said, what would that do? She said, well, that's your first drink. And you know what? It is. She said, if you don't want to suck your saliva, you know what other drink I could give you? What? An ass whooping. I said, well, how's that going to get me some drink? Well, when you get your ass whooped, what happens? You cry. Exactly. That's your second source of water. It might be salty, but it's liquid. See? That's what a Libra would say. I'm a Taurus. You know I wouldn't have the balls. I'm now getting the balls to say some stuff like that now. Thanks to my Leo / Libra / Scorpio, whatever sign she took under at that time. See? So Libra, you're not just a Libra. You are also other signs beneath you. So if you're in the 7th house, I would like you for the rest of May 2018, find the other zodiac signs that you govern, that look up to you for advice. And you'll find out that you do have to be that knight for them. They might be a part of your family members. So you have no choice but to figure this out. Mr. and Miss Libra, often just remembering the past life pattern is enough to heal the issue. See? Understand the past is over and will not repeat in this current lifetime. The goal should be to learn from it. I repeat, Mr. and Miss Libra, the goal should be to learn from it and then let it go. Like Frozen, let it go, can't hold me back anymore. It's the morning, guys. I didn't warm up. All right, Libra. Also, let fears of deprivation fade away. As they are no longer necessary, open yourself up to abundance. Which leads Mr. and Miss Libra to your knighthood. Let's find out what your past night. Your past night. Oh, well, maybe you were the knight of the night. Maybe you understood the moon goddess and the principles of the waters. That was a part of the agriculture. So research the moon cycles too, Mr. and Miss Libras. Okay, knighthood. And plus, as a knight, if you really wanted to attack people for your king and queen or for your pharaoh, you best to attack at night, because during the day they could see that. Look at that. They could see that. They could see this. In the dark, they won't. Look, even the unicorn. The unicorn, do it look like it got a sun on top of that? No. First of all, it's a unicorn. It's not even a horse. You would think a knight would have a horse to symbolize this. But in fact, it has a horse / unicorn. So that meant that you combine the material, which is a horse, because the horse was our first car, our first carriage. See how that CC goes? And they mixed the spirituality, which is that horn in the middle, which is connected to the pineal gland, that third eye, is what the knight stood for, is standing for. You are standing for that part of the knighthood. You are standing for the mystic side, the spiritual side, and the material aspects. All three wrapped up in one. That three trinity is you. Demonstrate that. Know it, learn it, love it. Got it? Got it? All right, now let's read what knighthood says for you. Once a knight, always a knight. You receive this card as a validation of your inner knighthood. See? Whether you are a man or a woman. Yes, because women's were knights. Oh, what you thought Mulan was the only knight warrior? Every culture, every race has a knight, has a warrior. Okay? All right, now, research that. Like the young people say, Google it. Most likely you've learned, or most likely you've long had a fascination with tales and images of knights. You may connect, or you may collect knight figurines, decorate with knight-related artwork, and even dress up as a knight during costume parties. In relationship and careers, you are drawn to defend those who are weak or vulnerable. See, that's where that food and hunger comes into place. You may choose a profession that puts you into a guardian or protector role. See, even in your past life, you had to probably even protect the pharaohs. Not this regular folk. You probably had to protect pharaohs. If you translate that to now, you might not only be protecting and educating regular citizens. If you keep going with this, you can actually demonstrate and reteach or re-show presidents, senators, people of high regards that can actually change the course of how we see food. Come on, Libra. Get your ass up. You got the scales for a reason. It's essential that you only work for organizations that you fully believe in. As I say this again, Libra, it's essential that you only work for organizations that you fully believe in, meaning your soul has to resonate with that place. Your feelings have to feel connected, like the people in there you probably was connected to in the past life. It has to be so deeply embedded in you that the moment you hear about the organization and what it does, and that you physically gone to see what it does for people, you like, yeah, I gotta be there. It gotta be where you gotta be there. If you don't get that sensation, don't be there. As a knight, you are loyal to those who earn your respect. Otherwise, you are not happy. So you have to be surrounded. As a knight, you are loyal to only those who earn your respect. Doesn't mean the ones that don't earn your respect you act rude to, Libra, because y'all can do that, shystiness. No, ignore them. Leave those ones that don't want to listen to you or don't really think of the they or the us aspect of people, of the empathy aspect, then leave them alone. They ain't for you. You don't have to bother with them. You not even bothering with them would be like when a soul goes down to the underground and you are the gatekeeper and they can't get past. That's how serious you are. That's how powerful you are. So the ones that can't agree with you, leave that to the birds. And the birds wouldn't even want their nonsense. They want actual bread. Like bread, or the actual green bread. Like that dinero. Like J-Lo said, dinero. With DJ Khaled and them. Yeah. So, if you like what you heard, please share, leave your comments below, and like and subscribe. I'm new to this, so I'm still trying to figure out the format of saying that. Till we meet again, Libra, the gatekeeper, the Ma'at, the Anubis of the underworld, the person that makes sure our soul as humans are light as a feather. Take care. Till we meet again. I'll see you on the other side. Bye.